Hello and welcome back to Attacking Third. We're so pleased to have player interviews alongside our team by team previews ahead of the NWSL 2022 season. And for this segment, we have a special interview segment with Darian Jenkins, forward for Orlando Pride. It's your first time on Attacking Third, Darian. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We were so hyped to get you on the show. We were chatting a little bit off mic about it and just being able to talk with you about preseason things, but also talk about what your plans are, and what you plan to bring to Orlando Pride for 2022 season. But just to kick things off very simply, obviously we're in the full swing of preseason now, coming off of a little bit of what felt like a shorter off season. So just to ask you, like, how's it going? How was off season? How'd you spend your off season? How you been?
I'll start with off season. Off season was good. Last year was a tough year coming off, so it was actually nice to this is the first year I actually took some time off instead of going abroad and playing. So yeah, it was really nice to just get my body feeling right and kind of get my mind in the right space too. And then, with the trade to Orlando, I was really excited about it. I think it's just good to have a fresh start and then be with my old coaching staff, like almost everyone. We have Amanda, Sam, and now Aline just got announced as our goalkeeper coach. She's a ray of sunshine. So it's been good. And then first week of preseason. Lots of running, practices 100 miles an hour. But, it was good to get that under our belts, and it's nice to be with the team, and everyone's just really positive and really wanting to build. So we're just into week 2 and it's been really good. It's been fun.
Darian, you mentioned the off season. I'm glad you had some time to rest and relax. That is so necessary. But you were traded in this off season, as you mentioned. You went from Kansas City to Orlando Pride. You've been with a number of different teams, right? Being drafted in 2017 and now ending up at Orlando Pride. How did this trade come about in this offseason? Who initiated it and how did it come about?
I kind of had a feling that there was just going to be a lot of change from last year. Kansas City, every team makes a lot of changes with the new teams coming in. So I just kind of figured, there's always, I might be traded, I might not. Should I pack my things? Should I not? So I was kind of like prepared to be traded, but like also expecting to go back to KC. So I was a little surprised, but then ultimately excited. Big picture, I think it's just a better fit. And that's I just had a conversation with the old coach at KC, and everything was good. No bad blood or anything. I think it's good on both parties.
Right on. I want to chat with you a little bit about sort of before maybe or during this process of your transition from Kansas City to Orlando, and even before that, right? Because what we've been doing a lot on Attacking Third is we've been trying to take the time to celebrate the passing and the newly ratified CBA. And that's something, the negotiations to try to get something like that done were in the process for a very long time, right? We heard about how there was constant negotiating throughout the duration of 2021. And that's adjacent to all of the things that the league and the players were going through in the midst of all that. So to sort of have this move happen, right? You're with a new club now in Orlando. And then on the eve of what's supposed to be preseason, it finally comes out, boom, historic first ever CBA for the NWSL players. So for you personally, as a player who's kind of had that experience in this league, going from club to club, you talking about at the top of the show here, like you gotta stay ready. You were almost like, might I have to have these conversations? I might not have them, but if we have them, I'm gonna be ready for them. So what does that mean for you, having still being in this league, to witness this historic moment, to have this CBA in place going forward?
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. Even now, like negotiating a contract, like having the ability to have room to negotiate, whereas before it was, hey, you're going to be paid 17,000 and that's what you're going to get, or we'll just get someone else who's okay with making that. So it's pretty amazing just to be in that space where we're working towards free agency, and that's something that's going to come up. And just having rights, even, maternity leave, mental health leave, there's a lot of stuff that's just really amazing. That's really bare minimum that we should have. So it's amazing to be a part of that. And, I've been in the league, I think this is my 6th season now. From when I first started to now, there's such a huge difference. And I'm just excited to see, all the real changes it makes in the long run. And as season goes on, and we're really going to see just from the top down things getting better for players in this league.
For hearing some of the players who have been involved in the league for X amount of years, and to sort of hear their piece on this, because this is a league that's entering its 10th year. And there's a number of players like yourself saying you're going into your 6th year in the league. We had to sit down and chat with some other players. We had Merritt Matthias on with us, who's been with the league since, 2013. And there are things within the CBA that are very clearly reflective of like players' experiences within
100%.
When we're seeing some of the points that were won, right, for the players, whether it's something like the different types of leave, whether that's for pregnancy, adoption, or just mental health. For you yourself personally, is there anything in particular of all these bullet points, right, that are within the CBA that just sort of resonated with you personally more than any others?
I don't know if I can pinpoint just one, but I think kind of what I mentioned before, that there's the fact that there's going to be structural change from top down. Is what's going to be huge, because, even last year, if you had a complaint to be filed, we don't have an HR program to go to. There's no one to talk to about grievances, or there's a lot of people that were in positions of power across various teams that saw you play at practice and then would decide if you get cut, which shouldn't, there shouldn't be those crossing lanes of power, where your contract is at someone's hand who's watching your every move. Just because you have a bad 2 days of training or something. So I think that, and honestly, one of the biggest things is for the players to get waived, the fact that they get an extra, I think it's like an extra month pay and insurance covered, like that is huge, because I know that there's players that have experienced being waived the 4th of the month so that they don't have to get paid anymore. And that leaves you, we don't make a lot of money. That leaves you in such a tough position. And I always feel so bad when that happens, because, I've been in positions, especially when I was younger, where I don't have any money. Everything I'm making is going to gas or food, whatever. So I think that is huge. And like I said, all around the structural change, I think is just going to be really a new standard that this league is needed for a really long time. And I'm excited for how it's just going to keep getting better.
I love listening to the players give their own personal experiences about the CBA, because you guys have lived it. And as Sandra mentioned, it's directly reflected in the CBA and the terms that came out. Hopefully it continues to grow and the league continues to evolve, and this standard and the bar is continuously raised, especially over the next few years. But I'm excited for this season, because we'll see some of these changes in place. And I think it's already happened a little bit. You mentioned 6 years in the league, 5 seasons playing, a bit of an injury to start there for you, but 4 different clubs in 5 seasons playing. And you said it yourself. You always have to be ready for what's next and for the change that is to come. So how difficult is it to stay ready and stay prepared if you are changing clubs, and what are you focusing on in the day-to-day just to be prepared for anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think something that I've grown up a lot, or gotten better at, whereas when I was younger, I would be really stressed about things that aren't in my control. So, if coach wants to trade me, or if they're wanting to go with someone else to start, or I'm on the non-starting team of practice, I think those things really used to affect me, and being traded, one of them, like always having that kind of anxiety in the off season when you're leaving. And I think now I'm just kind of like, I'm a good player. I'll go where I'm going to go. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. And I think since I've adopted that mindset, things have worked out for me really well. You know, even this year, it's kind of crazy that I'm with Amanda, Sam, and Alini. And we were all joking about it. The fact that we all ended up here. So yeah, I think I just try to focus on exactly what I can control, which is being fit, going in, feeling technically sound, working on, you know, like my shots and stuff going in. So I feel confident in preseason, and, you know, that's all I really have control over. So letting the rest just roll off my back.
Let's keep energy. Let's keep that energy
Yes.
going. All right. With last year, right? With Kansas City Current, one of the new expansion clubs in this season, during that season. And sometimes there's a little bit of a narrative that comes with new expansion sides where it's like there's not a lot of expectation there, that maybe they will struggle a bit on the pitch, blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yeah.
So in terms of looking at that season, right, but kind of in the rear view mirror, there were some milestones that you made, you know, leading the team tied for goals right there. And that really, that late kind of second half surge where like the team kind of took on a bit of a spoiler role and was, you know, going on a little bit of, you know, undefeated streak. It was very, very interesting to cover like Kansas City in two different halves. So for you, when you get into a new start of a new preseason, and then on top of that with a new club, what's maybe something that you're trying to build on during that 2021 season that you're trying to keep with you into 2022?
Yeah, I think that season, you know, just going off what you said, it was tough. You know, new team, new coach, new everything, new facilities. So yeah, it was a grind, and I think I definitely got mentally tougher going through that year. Lots of ups and downs. And so I think just one thing I'm really trying to maintain, you know, I work with a sports psychologist, and something we talk about often is what I said earlier, which is focusing on what I can control and just staying even. Like no matter what happens, trying to just stay even and just build on that and keep that mindset, you know, whether things are going super good or could be going horribly, just maintaining that. Sorry, my roommate just left. Just maintaining that level-headedness so that anything that comes my way, I'm able to handle it. And that's something I want to bring into this year. I know Orlando with a lot of new faces, you know, rebuilding a team culture with, you know, coaches that are coming from college, which is great. So I think, you know, we're going to have ups and downs too, but being able to have that mindset and that energy, and hopefully that, you know, rubs off on other people, and we're able to just keep building on that as a team.
Darian, you mentioned it, having new coaches at Orlando Pride, that came from college, right? I mean, Amanda Cromwell, she spent her entire career at the collegiate level of the game, and most recently at UCLA, 8 seasons there, and now stepping into the professional side of things. Before we talk about your personal relationship with Amanda and the coaching staff there, how has the transition been in the first week or so of preseason, having a coach that's never been at this professional level before? Are there any differences that you're noticing?
I think, you know, coming from college, I've always really appreciated Amanda. She's helped me a lot in my career. There's like a freshness to training and just energy, which is really contagious to be around. I think that staff works super well together. They all balance each other out in a really great way. And so I think that's exciting to be around, exciting to show up for training. And there's something about having female coaches where the communication is just excellent, and it's so nice. It's so nice and refreshing. So yeah, I think that there's just a freshness, and like everyone's really excited. Everyone's learning new things each day, staff down. So yeah, I think that that's been something that's noticeable from day one.
Besides the great communication from your female coaches, I mean, you know, this coaching staff from playing at UCLA and being with Amanda Cromwell, you mentioned it. It's kind of like a full circle moment coming back. Yeah. How is it to have that familiarity with the coaching staff and them to know you as a player?
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice because we already have that player coach relationship. And And, I know Amanda and the staff is someone that really holds you accountable and is always wanting you to get better. So it's nice to know that you're working with people that have good intentions for you, which isn't always the case. Just comes with the territory of our jobs, which is okay. But it's really nice to just feel like someone has your best interest and is wanting to build with you. So that's been a really great part of coming here and working with them again.
We've talked a bit about it already, how offseason tends to bring a lot of changes. And for Orlando Pride, like obviously that included them as a club as well. Saw some departures, right? Big names, and someone like an Alex Morgan and Allie Riley, Ashton Harris, Ellie Krieger, et cetera. But that also meant that the team was welcoming new faces as well, like yourself included. And we're seeing a lot of excitement around some of the college draft picks, coming through the preseason. So in this first week of preseason, CBA gets passed, everyone checks in, everyone starts getting a run in or so. How has the first week specifically of preseason been for you all? How is it too early to say that chemistry is developing, or is there just still those first steps that are being taken?
No, I think it's fair to say chemistry is developing. Like I said earlier, the first week is always 100 miles an hour. Everyone's getting nerves out. Your legs are tired from the running tests. But, we were actually Sid and I were talking about today how much more we've built on last week to this week, which is really exciting. You never want to go into a season like, oh my God, the first 2 weeks. So it's been really good. There's, lots of chemistry that's being built, and, it's so fun to play with the players that have just come in and, kind of get them up to speed. It's a lot faster than college. So I think everyone's gelling really well, and I'm excited to keep building.
Good team vibes overall, already progressing from week 1 to week 2. Wow. You love to see that. You love to see that. For you personally though, when you look at 2022 and the season ahead of you in the NWSL specifically, what are some personal goals you're setting for yourself for this season?
I think something I struggled with last year, that this is again something I've talked about with my sports psychologist, is I just need to be a lot more selfish. I'm a forward for a reason. And yeah, that's something I just need to really add more of to my game. I think I kind of lost it last year just with, the ups and downs of season. I lost a lot of confidence in myself. And so just getting that back and really just not caring if I mess up and just taking shots and being a lot more selfish. Yeah. And then again, like I said, just focusing on myself. I think that I was really concerned with things that were going on around me before, whereas now it's out of my control. And I just want to be a lot more selfish. And I'm really excited to build on this relationship with Marta and Sid and, the midfielders and players around me to really be a lot more dangerous in the attack and be able to be a much more attacking minded forward. Whereas last year I felt I got stuck in the defensive role a lot more.
As a forward, as part of that front line, one of those things that was coming out was like the fact that yes, it's Sydney Leroux who's going to be returning. It's going to be Marta. There were some jokes from fans. They're saying they're like, "What's the team going to look like?" etc. So in terms of just focusing and centering in on that attacking line, it sounds like you mentioned, like the chemistry is maybe already starting to be built amongst the attacking core. Is there anything that's surfacing for the team or for the front line specifically, like in terms of a theme? Like, have you guys talked about like what you want that attack to look like for Orlando Pride? What you want people to point at and say that's an Orlando Pride offense?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been our focus yet, but I think just from us looking from building from the back and moving up the field, I think especially with Sid, myself, Erica, Marta, people are going to be very worried about our speed. And it's kind of a double factor. We have a 10 who's the best player in the world who is amazing with the ball at her feet. So I think we're going to be a quadruple threat, so I think teams are going to start to have to respect their space in behind a lot more, and as well as that we can play to feet and build through the middle of the field. So I think, we'll kind of fine tune our style of play once season starts, and I'm really excited.
Oh, I like that. That's exciting. That's an exciting tidbit, I think, for people to maybe hang on to, right? As they're
Yeah.
looking for something to latch onto during the long preseason. It's something else that we've been doing with these player interviews. We like to close them out with a little bit of fun, Darian. So what we've been doing in the theme of preseason, it's been a lot of chatter about like routine and getting back into patterns and stuff like that. So we've been asking players on these segments in terms of a routine pre or post game or training, whatever. A, are you a coffee drinker? And B, if you are, do you have a go-to beverage pre or post? Otherwise, it's part of your routine.
I am a heavy coffee drinker. I make my coffee the night before, so I have it once I wake up. Yeah, coffee drinker.
I love it.
Yeah, but that's me. I'm heavy on the 2 cups of coffee every morning when we have training. And yeah, that's really part of my routine. After training, I'm pretty lame. I come home and take a nap and then wake up and get food and just hang out. They're not that exciting during preseason.
I mean, that sounds like a nice afternoon though, right? Like
yeah,
come home,
I'm like,
take
that
a
actually
nap.
I'm like, that sounds delightful, actually.
Yeah.
But I love that. Let's cap it off on that. Orlando Pride fans, get excited for Darian. Stay ready, Jenkins. We appreciate you as always for joining us. We always like to thank our listeners for joining us towards the end of these episodes. So thanks everybody. Good luck in the 2022 season, Darian. For everybody who's following along, you can follow us on Twitter at Attacking Third. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you listen to your podcast shows. You can leave us a 5-star review on Spotify now. And if you have any questions for us, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with your questions, and Lisa and I will answer during our mailbag segment. We're also available as video. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Visit youtube.com/Attacking Third. And we'll be back on Wednesday with even more team previews and more interviews. So for Sandra Herrera, Lisa Roman, and Darian Jenkins, this was Attacking Third.